sytuacji politycznej na Bliskim Wschodzie, ani snuć żadnych planów czy prognoz. Exactly what is actually happening.
Hi, and thank you for joining me today. Today we are talking about one of the most misunderstood topics on the market: security of property purchase in Northern Cyprus. If you are here, it means one thing. You are either already considering buying property in Northern Cyprus, or you are seriously thinking about it. And that's exactly why this webinar matters. Let me start with something very direct. There is a lot of information online about Northern Cyprus. Agents, bloggers, YouTube videos, everyone is talking about how easy, how safe, and how profitable it is. But very few people are talking about the legal reality behind this transaction. And that's where the real risks are. I know this because I've been living and working on Cyprus for over 20 years. And I've seen deals done properly, and I've seen people lose money, time, and in some cases, control over their property. So today, I'm not going to sell you a dream. I'm going to give you the real reality. Because in Northern Cyprus, the question is not, can you buy a property? Yes, you can. The real question is, do you understand what exactly you are buying and what risks come with it? And can you manage them? Today we will go through this step by step. During the webinar, do not hesitate to ask if something isn't clear, and please write your questions in chat. So it will be nice, so later on I can answer to your questions. So what we will talk about today: the legal framework of property purchase. So what actually makes the transaction safe? So basic transaction security. Where the risks really are. International legal status of Northern Cyprus and associated risks. Buying the property with a lawyer or without lawyer. And is it the biggest mistake to buy property without lawyer or not? And finally, why I consider that transaction to be relatively safe for you. So let's get straight with this, and let's start with the legal side of transaction. Legality of purchase for foreigners. So it is legal framework. First, let's talk about the basics. Yes, foreigners are allowed to buy property in Northern Cyprus. That's clearly set out in the law. But here is what people don't tell you. This is not a free market where you can buy whatever you want. There are some limits, and strict ones. You can buy up to 3 apartments, or 2 villas, or 1 plot of land, maximum 1,338 square meters. And that's it. One person can buy only 3 apartments or 2 villas or 1 land plot. So these are the restrictions. Do we have a law that regulates this? Yes, the law number 39 from 2024. and you can find this information in the law. Also, what is the other restrictions? The foreigner cannot buy the property near the military zones. Also, property with joint ownership, shared title deeds. We call it as shared title deeds. Commercial property. Or assume every development is open for foreign buyers. No, it is not. In new developments, no more than 80% of units may be sold to foreign buyers, and 20% should be sold to the local ones. I've personally seen clients reserve a property, pay a deposit, and only later discover the property has the shared title deeds. So that deal was collapsed, money stuck, and stress was guaranteed to the client. So that's why you need to know about this restriction. I think it is clear. So if you don't understand something, please write your questions. So later on, I can answer you. What is the golden, let's say, key rules? Now let's talk about the point where the most buyers make expensive mistake. Because this is where the deal either becomes safe or starts going wrong. Before you are buying anything, there are a few things that must be checked properly. Not looked at quickly, or not the agent said it is fine, properly checked. So remember it, you should check it properly. And we are talking about existing debts, mortgages on the land, and ongoing legal disputes. So let me give you a real example. One client came to me after paying a deposit on a very nice apartment in Kyrenia. So it was good price, good location, everything looked perfect, except one thing. The land had a bank mortgage. No one told him. Now legally that means that the bank has a priority claim over that property if mortgage will not be covered. So if something goes wrong with the developer or owner, the bank doesn't deal with the developer, it deals with the assets, with the property. So that's how buyers suddenly find themselves in a very uncomfortable legal position just because they didn't check it. So they didn't check any debts, and that's why they have this situation. The next thing that you should check, wait a minute, so registration of the contract in land registry. If your contract is signed but not properly registered in the land district office, you are not protected. So it's not enough just to sign the contract. After that, you need to register it and to show the government that you are owner of this property. So, and next step, this is permission to purchase. It's not a formality, permission to purchase, P2P. It's a legal requirement. So, and of course, when you make application for permission to purchase, you need to provide your criminal record. So the government will check you and will check your criminal record. So if you have some problems, it means you can not get the permission to purchase. So it will not be granted to you, and it is risks. So that's why you should be sure that everything is fine with your criminal records, and that's why you can make application for permission to purchase. So sometimes the people just say, okay, let's just sign quickly and deal with the paperwork later. So this is the point where the all problems starts. So you need to do everything properly. Just believe me, from my experience, from those people who bought a property, who had some problems, who come to the lawyer with their problems. Yes, my advice every time, do not forget about these golden rules and do everything step by step. Because this is your investment, it is your money, and you will be a property owner in Northern Cyprus. Okay, let's continue. So, what is the next step? The next step is that we will discuss. It's transfer of ownership. So again, it is another very common misunderstanding between the buyers, the people who come to Northern Cyprus. They think, okay, I've paid money, I own the property. No, in Northern Cyprus, it is not. So it's not works in this way legally in Northern Cyprus. Ownership is not based on payment. Ownership is based on legal title deed transfer. So first, of course, you buy the property. Then you obtain permission to purchase. Then you paid your taxes, all required taxes. And only after that, the title deed is transferred into your name. So if you will miss one of these steps, delay it, ignore it, or do it incorrectly, and finally, legally, you are not owner. So I've seen different situation where people lived in a property for years, and they believe that everything is fine, and only later they discovered that the title deed have never been transferred. So, and it is still on the other property owner's name. It still doesn't belong to them. So they are not an owners legally. So they are just have a property rights. They own the rights on the property, but they are not the property owners. So it's, I think that it is not a situation you want to be in. So every time control, did you do all steps and did you transfer your title deed into your name? So let's continue. What else you need to think about and to remember? How ownership is formalized. So let's break it down very simple, in practical way. A proper transaction always followed a structure. First, the contract is registered, not just signed, but officially registered. Simultaneously, the taxes are paid. Then your application for permission goes to the authorities, and only after that approvals come through, you receive the title deeds. So you will get your P2P approval, so the property permission to purchase property will be granted to you, and after that you can transfer the title deed. That in the moment where you become a legal property owner, so after the title deed transferring, but not before. Before, you are the property rights owner, as I said before, as I mentioned it before. So when you sign the contract, you get your right on the property. When you paid your tax and register your contract in land district office, you registered your rights. But only when you transfer the title deed, it means that you become a property owner. And every time it's misunderstanding by the buyers, because they thought from the outside, everything feels like ownership. So you have the keys, and you can live in your property, and then you can rent it out, and you can do everything with your property. It feels like it is yours, but yes and again no, because the title deed is still not transferred into your name. Yes, you can do all these things. Your property, you are owner of property rights, but the property is still on the previous property owner's name, and you need to transfer it into your name and complete the whole process and become a property owner. So every time, do not forget the final step. Okay? So ask the questions every time when you buy a property. Ask when you most probably will transfer your title deed. So from the beginning to the end, you will need nearly 18 months, 1.5 years to complete everything, because to get permission to purchase is a long process. It's a long procedure. But what, let's talk about what you can do before receiving the title deeds. I mentioned it before, and again, let's clarify it. So before receiving the title deed, you can do quite a lot. You can move into your property and get your residence permission. You can rent it out, even you can sell it, or you can include it in inheritance planning. So everything, you can do everything with your property. And again, you need to complete the final step. And final step will be completed with the taxes that you will pay to the government. So put me a smiley if you understand it. So all these things that you can do with your property when you sign the agreement and when you register this agreement in land district office. Do not forget, you need to register it. So when your permission to purchase will be granted, do not forget you need to complete the procedure and transfer title deed into your name. And after that, you become a property owner. So your name will be on the property documents in land district office, and you will get your title deed into your name. This is a full picture how it works in Northern Cyprus, and it takes, as I said, nearly 1.5 years to complete all the procedure. So let's continue. If you have any questions, please write them to me. So I will explain everything later. I will send you my answers, and do not hesitate to write it in the chat. So let's talk about protection. What actually protects you and what doesn't protect you in Northern Cyprus. So let's talk about safety. Sometimes people ask me, and not sometimes, every time they ask me, is it safe to buy property in Northern Cyprus, in TRNC? My legal, honest legal answer, let's say, yes, it is. It is safety, but only if everything done properly. So, in Northern Cyprus, there is a legal system. There are laws and procedures. There is a government control. There is not a chaos. Every proper transactions goes through a lawyer, a land register, and government approval. But the protection does not come automatically. It comes from what you do during the transaction. So you need to do properly all things, and then you will be safety in Northern Cyprus. So don't think that you just sign the paper, you just sign the sale contracts, and everything is done, everything is safety. No, you need to check. You need to work before you will be sure that everything safety. So for example, let's continue with the safety. So for example, due diligence. A property lawyer will check, sorry, not property, of course, proper lawyer. No, property lawyer, yes. Will check who actually owns the property, who is the owner that registered in Land District Office. What is the status of title deeds? Whether there are debts or mortgages on that property. Whether the building has a proper permits. And because if you don't have permits, you cannot register your property in Land District Office. So now let me give you a real scenario. A buyer comes to me after signing a contract with the property owner, and everything looks perfect, everything is done, agreement, nice property, except one thing. The property had a lawsuit claim. What will you do? So, what does it mean? That means legally he can't register these property rights and transfer title deed into his name, because there are lawsuit claim, and this lawsuit claim is registered in Land District Office. So the buyer needed to find out what is the claim and paid it. It's expensive. Sometimes it's very expensive. So he was in big trouble. He didn't know how to solve it, and that's why we started procedure to get this deposit back from the property owner, because it was really difficult to solve that lawsuit. Sometimes it is easy, sometimes not, but you need to find out and be sure that this problem can be solved. If not, never give the deposit. So this lawsuit became a headache of my client, and finally we just took the deposit back and he bought the other property. So let's continue. What else can be? If you understand with this, with debts, mortgages, lawsuits, different encumbrances that can be on the property, put me a fire. Okay, so to show that you understand it, and you're feeling that yes, everything is clear. If not, just write your question. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue with next step, sale contract registration. So to be safety in your property deal, to be sure that everything is done properly, and you are safety in this situation when you are buying property in Northern Cyprus, you need to register your contract, your contract of sale. So, and this contract of sale should be registered in 3 different authorities. So first one is a tax office, and you will pay your first taxes there. On the previous webinars, we talked that when you register a sale contract in tax office, you will pay 6.5% as the taxes for registration from the purchase price. So the next step, you need to register your sales contract in Land Registry Office, and from the date of tax office registration until land register, you have 21 calendar days to complete this procedure. And after that, so when you register in land register office, it means that you register your rights as the property owner rights. So you register your name in land district office and you show to the government and to everybody that you bought this property and you are in process of transferring title deed. So you will be a real property owner. And after that, you need to register your sales contract in the municipality and to show the government that now you own this property, you can rent this property, you can live in this property, and you will pay your yearly property tax to the government. Okay, is it clear? I hope it is clear. So just 3 authorities where you should register your contract. And these 3 registrations helps protect your rights even before the title deed is issued. So you protect yourself step by step to show to all the authorities that you are property owner, and at the end you will transfer title deed into your name. Okay, it's clear. Okay, write me yes if you understand that we need 3 registration. Okay, let's continue. What else we will discuss today? Government oversight, of course. Now it is government control. If somebody buy property, the government control everything. The government control the buyers, the government control the developers, the property owners. Foreign buyers are checked, so that's why we need your criminal record. That's why you make application for property purchase permission, because government check if it is proper property, if it is no any restrictions for the foreigners, and is it a proper person that buy the property. They check your criminal records. So that's why permits are required, and that's why developers must have all approvals, all building permits or construction permits, all approvals from the government. And again, let me be very clear. It doesn't remove the risk completely for you, because control exists, yes, but it's not always perfect in practice. Yes, we are still in the process of formalizing everything, of creating the best way how we can create a safe environment for our buyers and property owners as well. So step by step, our government changed the law and protect the buyers and protect the property owners. So the law was changed in 2024, and now we can see a strong protection of foreign buyers that buy property in Northern Cyprus. Some restriction as well, and protection, of course. So let's continue. Legal protection, availability of legal protection. In Northern Cyprus, of course, it is country. Maybe it's not a huge country; it's a small country. But again, maybe it's unrecognized country. But again, it is country with all authorities established, and there is a functioning legal system in this country. Courts operate, rights are recognized, but there is here is difference between reality and practice, because we don't have enough practice yet. So we have law, we have regulations, but the practice is not enough. And usually the legal protection works before the problem starts. I think this rule is common for all countries. So if you want to be safety, if you don't want to have problems, do everything properly and right at the beginning. So think about your safety at the beginning. So not after. Once you are in dispute, you are already in a defensive position. So, and in such environment like Northern Cyprus, you don't want to rely on solving problems later. To be honest, nobody wants to have a problem and then to manage this problem in the future. So everybody think just make a good investment, gain some profits, or to find a nice place for living, and nobody wants the problems. Everything starts from the beginning. So if you will check everything at the beginning, if you will do everything properly at the beginning, finally you will not have any problems. So, and you will be happy property owner in Northern Cyprus, and you will be safety property owner in Northern Cyprus. Okay. The other questions, I think, yes, if you started to think about buying property in Northern Cyprus, you heard that it is unrecognized country, we recognized only by Turkey, and of course, disputed land. So you can find a lot of information in open sources about this question. And it's uncomfortable truth about the risks. So the most agents and developers avoid discussing these questions, the disputed land and land history. So yes, some properties were owned by Greek Cypriots before 1974, before the country, the Republic of Cyprus, were divided into two parts, and now we have Republic of Cyprus and Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. Not every property, but some. And what does it mean for you? It means potential legal sensitivity. Does it mean that every deal is dangerous? So you don't need to buy a property. No. It means that you should check the title deed carefully. Understand what type of land you are buying, and then after that make a decision. And this is where experience really matters. So because you need to understand what type of title deed you are buying. So I always explain it like this. In Northern Cyprus, you don't just buy property. You buy it legal past. Yes. Can you manage these risks? Of course. Yes, you can manage it. It's easy to do. So you need carefully check the title deeds and then select exchange title or Turkish title. Also, do not forget that there is a compensation mechanism funded by the state. So the government pay compensations to the property owners from the Greek side, and they transfer title deed into exchange titles. They are completely safe for you. So yes, is it risk? Yes, it is risk, but it is manageable risk. Let's continue. Law vs practice. So vice versa. Yes. So practice and law. What is the difference? What is the gap between official law that we have and the practice that we have? On paper, right now, everything looks structured, really. We have a very nice property law. So the country starts to sell property for foreigners in, as I remember, in 2007 we started to sell property for foreigners, and in 2008 it was first law for property law for foreigners, And this law from 2008 was changed one time in 2016 and second time in 2024. And now everything is managed by this law, number 39 from 2024. And it is really detailed law, and it is really nice, and it is really protect the buyer. And explain how you can buy, what are the restrictions, so what you need to do to be a proper property owner, and how you can manage the situation with the developer if they don't construct the property, if they have some delays and so on. So you can find a lot of rules in that law, and extra rules are coming, and we change this law slowly. And again, you should understand, 2024 this law was created, yeah, and now it's just 2026. We really don't have enough legal practice to be sure that all clauses of this law works properly. So of course, I work in property market for the last 16 years, and yes, I've seen project delayed. So I've seen contracts drafted in favor of developers. I've seen the people who couldn't, who bought just a project, the construction wasn't started or wasn't completed. So yes, it was different situation. I saw all of them, and now with my honest respect, so with honor, I can say you that the new law is really safety and really good for the foreign buyers. Yes, you can officially buy just 3 apartments or 2 villas or 1 plot, but you will be a property owner, and you can see how you can influence on the developer, or how you can manage your situation in this country, and what are the restrictions, and what are your obligations, and what are your rights also. So when you work in Northern Cyprus, any risks, especially this difference between law and practice, this lag between law and practice, so how can you manage this risk? So you need to work with the licensed, independent lawyer from the deposit states through to completion, through the transferring of title deed into your name. For all these months that your deal will continue, you need to work with the official licensed lawyer. It's my opinion. So, and carrying out full due diligence at every stage. So you need, and your lawyer will do it. Together you need to check all things during the completion of purchase procedure. Okay, is it clear? I hope so. So, okay, so react with the heart. Yes, heart, if it is helpful. If it is helpful for you, I hope so. So I hope that my webinars are helpful for you, really. So, and I am happy that you are here, that you are with me, and I hope you will come to the other webinars as well. So do not forget to check when I will have the next webinar, and we will discuss the other situations and the other questions and problems and things about property and about Northern Cyprus, different things from Northern Cyprus life. Okay, let's continue. Time frames. So if you want to be safe when you buy property in Northern Cyprus, do not forget that we have time frames. So timing in the property buying process. For example, when you buy property and you sign your agreement, sales agreement, you have just 1 month to register your agreement in tax office. So in this case, you will pay 0.5 stamp duty. But if you will come later, you will pay more, you will pay 1%, for example. And again, if you want to register your contract in Land District Office, you have only 21 calendar days from the date of signing your agreement. You see? So, yes, you can register your agreement in 6 months in tax office, but you cannot register it in 6 months in Land District Office. So that's why time limiting is very important. Every time your lawyer or your agents, they will check, and you should check as well. So what is timing? So when did you sign your agreement, and when did you register it, or do you have enough time to do everything properly? So when you register your agreement in Land District Office, you need to apply for P2P, permission to purchase. There is no limitation. What time do you need to do it? Usually we say, yes, it is reasonable time, like in 1 month after registration in Land District Office. So during that time you can get your criminal records, you can send your criminal records to the North Cyprus, and then we can make application for you. And when you will do this application, you should remember that government procedure to grant permission for buying property will take between 6 up to 18 months. So we never know how long will it take. Sometimes it really goes very fast, everything is fine, but sometimes it takes like 1.5 years. And until you will get this permission, you cannot transfer your title deed. Yes, you are property rights owner, you can do everything with your property, but you didn't complete your deal. Again, and you still have some small risks that something can happen. What is this risk? It means that if your seller is a private person, and if this seller will die during this time limit period, so you will need to do with inheritance case, yes, with his heirs and assessors, not with the property owners. So you can have some problems when you will transfer title deed into your name. So if you want, we can discuss in details all the situation with inheritance and probate cases in the future, okay, in the other webinars. But today you just need to remember you should do everything quite quickly when you signed an agreement, and as soon as you did the application, it means that you can get your permission and you can transfer title deed into your name and resolve all probable problems. Okay, I think it is clear. How we manage all these time frames? Can you manage this risk? Of course, yes. There is online application system. So your lawyer makes ongoing monitoring of your property purchase permission and quickly respond to all government's requests, because sometimes the property purchase permission process are stuck because nobody provides the extra information about your address, about the situation with the title deed, and so on. So that's why that person who will check and control this process, and usually it can be you by yourself, or it can be your lawyer or authorized person. So you need to remember that every time you should check everything with the authority. And also, again, submission of clarifications to the Council of Ministers by the lawyer. So, they ask questions and you submit all clarifications, all documents that the ministry, the Council of Ministers ask about your property. So, you can manage the time frames as well. And you can move forward quickly and then get your permission. So, if it is clear, let's continue. Ownership restrictions and limits. So, this is another point people often ignore. So you cannot freely buy multiple properties. You should remember about it. So if you now decide to buy property in Northern Cyprus, just remember about it. As I said before, 3 apartments or 2 villas or 1 land plot. You cannot buy 1 apartment and 1 villa into your name. Or. So that's why if you want to manage this risk, if you want to own more than 3 apartments, of course you can do it. So how can you do it? You can buy different properties into different family members' names. For example, 3 apartments on husband's names, 2 villas into wife's names, or 3 more apartments into wife's names, 1 or 2 villas or land plot into your children's names, and in this case children should be elder than 18 years old. So only after that they can buy property. If they're 3, 4, 17 years old, they cannot buy. So they should complete 18 years, and after that they can buy property in Northern Cyprus. So that's why if you want to buy more properties, you can. Or we have one more opportunity for those who want to invest in Northern Cyprus. So 3 apartments can be registered directly into your name, and you can buy 10 more apartments with leasehold title deed. It will be long-term rent. It's not a property ownership. You will get your leasehold title deed on your property, and after that you can rent this property, or you can sell this property as well. So if you want to buy more, if you want to manage your business like the rental business on Northern Cyprus, yes, you can do it. So we have this opportunity in our law, and you can buy more than 3 properties, but it will be leasehold. So like in Bali, you know, like in Indonesia. So let's continue. If it is clear, write me yes, please, in the chat. So if you understand so how you can buy more than 3 properties or more than 2 villas. Okay. So let's continue and talk about international status of Northern Cyprus. Yeah, we talked about it before, and yes, and why it is matters, our international status. You should remember that Northern Cyprus is recognized only by Turkey. So for Turkey, we are official country, Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. They recognize everything, and they act with us like with the official recognized country. But for the other world, for the other countries, our part of land is just a part of the Republic of Cyprus. So, and of course, can it create some risk or so on? How it looks like from the international law? Yes, from international law view, from the position of international law, the Northern Cyprus has a very interesting situation. International courts recognize 2 things at the same time in Northern Cyprus. They recognize our local legal system, yes, our government, that we have all structures, courts and so on, everything is proper like in normal country. And at the same time, they recognize the rights of previous owners. So, which creates, as you can imagine, a complex legal situation. Yes, that's why you can find a lot of information in open sources, in internet. Yes, this is occupied territory, you cannot buy the property in Northern Cyprus, it is restricted. Yes, the land does not belong to the owners who sell this property in Northern Cyprus. Because of this situation through the international law and view of international law. But to be honest, during last 50 years, we have only 8 cases about property situation in Northern Cyprus. And 5 of them were in 2008 and 2009, and 3 of them were in 2000, as I remember, 2024. So, and again, through these cases, the property owners from the previous property owners, they didn't gain these cases. So they couldn't officially show that this property belongs to them. It's very interesting situation, and it makes in somehow safety the buying property in Northern Cyprus. Our country is quite closed. It's not open for the international environment. So that's why it is difficult to get any documents from our government or apply for any documents, because if you don't recognize country, you cannot apply to official authorities. So you see, it's very interesting situation, and in the future we will see what will be with our country. Will be recognized like a separate country, or will be part of the Republic of Cyprus. We will see. But again, this year, a very strong conversation between northern part of Cyprus and south part of Cyprus has a place, and we are waiting what will happen. Again, we believe that this country will be recognized one day. Again, this country has a lot of opportunities. I live here for 20 years, believe me. So it's not that risk that you should think about. So it will be sorted in one way, one day. Okay, so let's continue with, you understand the international law position. Yes, it's quite difficult to ask something, to ask questions about Northern Cyprus from international law position. So, in the practical reality, of course, with international position, as I said, I just want to formalize it. So, when we talk about legal position of property in Northern Cyprus, or your deal in Northern Cyprus, inside Northern Cyprus, your transaction is valid every time because it is registered. It is official country, official government law and authorities and so on, and you register yourself like a property owner. But outside, again, as I said, so legal questions can arise. But we can manage it? Yes, of course. So, let's continue. The main question, buying with or without a lawyer? So, to be honest, buying without a lawyer is a bad idea, really. So, you're a foreigner, you come to Northern Cyprus, yes, unrecognized country, it's not open country to everybody. Even if it will be recognized country, if you will go to the other country as well, you will go, let's say, from Germany, you will go to Bali, or from England, you will go to Germany or to Spain. Again, it is different country with different law, with different language, and you don't understand it. You don't know the law, you don't know the regulations, you don't know the procedures, you don't know the language of this country. Official language here is Turkish. So, and plenty different information in open sources, and agents and bloggers and everybody talk about how to easily buy property in Northern Cyprus. So it's a bad idea when you do it by yourself. You need a good lawyer, official lawyer, and it should be your lawyer. Because sometimes, again, I saw this situation. the developer says, okay, I can provide your lawyer, we have my lawyer, so he will prepare the contract, you don't need to spend money, everything will be done properly. But again, it's buying without an independent lawyer is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. So, and you should remember that developer's lawyer is not your lawyer. So developer's lawyer, think about the developer and his rights and his opportunities, but not about you. It is conflict of interest, it's different interests, so different priorities. Your lawyer must be independent, chosen by you, and working only in your interest. So otherwise you are not protected when you work with the lawyer. So that's why, yes, you want to save money, you don't want to pay to the lawyer. You think, okay, why do I need, because they're a lawyer, so it's just a paperwork. No, every time you need to find yours one, because yours one will help you to do through all the procedures until the end, when you will get your title deed. And also, if something will happen on any step, you should know that this lawyer, it is your lawyer and he knows everything about your property and will help you to resolve the situation. Okay? So, every time when you work with a deal in Northern Cyprus, you should remember, again, why lawyer, why I talk about it, not because I am a lawyer. I want you will be protected and you will, all of you will clearly understand. So the deal, property deal in Northern Cyprus has a complex legal structure. I think it is in all countries. It's common for all countries also. So there are multiple legal layers involved in the process. For example, you will start with title verification, then checking debts and encumbrances, and then verifying ownership and permits, sale contract registration, obtaining permission to purchase, and complying with deadlines and legal requirements. So, and without proper control, you don't see the risks until it's too late. You see, so sometimes you don't think about it. And when the situation becomes, it's too late. Sorry, it's too late. Yeah, you should think about it before. So, again, I want to mention and pay your attention to it, to debts. Debts are very important. This is the most common real-life problem. So buyers acquire the property with mortgage, with developer debts, and already involved in disputes. So they didn't check it before, and when they don't check it, they just sign deposit agreement, and deposit is a non-refundable deposit. And after that, they stuck with the problem and they said, okay, I want my deposit back. I don't want to work to buy this property, and according to the deposit agreement, it is non-refundable deposit. And you will lose your deposit. And yes, in case to pay to the lawyer his fee and to check everything at the beginning, you get some problems. So let's continue. Okay, you understand, you need to check debts, and then you need to register your contract, because it defines your protection, and if it is not properly reviewed or registered, you are exposed. So you should be protected under the law, and that's why you need to register your sales contract. And sometimes the procedure is quite long. So yes, you sign deposit agreement by yourself, you pay deposit, and then you go back to your country, and then you will transfer some payments to the developer, let's say 35% a down payment. And then you need to come back to sign the agreement, and then you need to go and register it, and it is time, it is more expenses for you. You need to fly it one by one again and again to the Northern Cyprus to do all paperwork, and then you should be sure that you control everything. Instead of this, when you work with your lawyer, you provide to your lawyer the power of attorney, and all these paperwork will be done by your lawyer. So you don't need to come, you don't need to be in stress, in a hurry, take your holiday and spend your holiday to do some paperwork in Northern Cyprus. Okay, and the same things with the property permission. Every time you need to apply for property permission as well. So don't forget that property permission is very important. So no permission, no title. It is very simple. So, and yes, it can take 18 months, and you need to manage it during these 18 months. And that's why you will work with the lawyer. And your lawyer will be responsible for all this period, all paperwork. So let's make conclusion. I hope you understand everything. I hope you are happy with the information that I provide for you. So if you have questions, do not hesitate to write these questions. I will answer you and send you my answers again. So write it in the chat, and I will be happy to answer your questions. Okay, so is it safe or not to buy a property in Northern Cyprus? Here is my professional position after 20 years on this island. Property purchase in Northern Cyprus can be safe, but only in 4 conditions are met. So the correct title deed is selected, you have an independent lawyer, full legal checks are done, and the transaction is properly structured. So you did everything from the beginning to end, and you are happily property owner at final. And all the deals and everything is valid, legally valid within the TRNC. So yes, you bought the property in Northern Cyprus, yes, you live with this property and you operate with this property in Northern Cyprus. Okay, so I think it is clear, yes. It is safe deal. Don't worry to buy the property in Northern Cyprus, but every time think about this risk and that information that I provide to you. So, for today, let me finish with this. I hope you've got good information that is useful for you, so you can use it. You can just think about it at least, or you have some questions in your mind, question marks, and you want to discuss them. Do not forget to write me all your questions, and on next webinars we can discuss it as well. So, Northern Cyprus is not a dangerous market, no. But it's not a simple one either. It is legally structured, politically sensitive, very politically sensitive, and full of nuances that most buyers do not see. Again, it is common for all markets, I think. There are no simple property markets in the world. Low prices are not a coincidence. They reflect the legal and geopolitical reality, really. That's why the prices for property prices in Northern Cyprus are still low and lower than in south side of Cyprus. They are still very, very low, like triple less than in south side. So the question is not if it is safe. The real question is, are you doing it properly? So because if you are, you can protect your investment. If you are not, the law will not fix your mistakes afterwards. And let me be very clear with you. So you have two options after this webinar. You can go online, read a few forums, speak to an agent, and hope everything will be fine. Or you can approach this property with a legal strategy that protects your money before you invest it. So, as I said, I've been living and working on Cyprus over for 20 years, and in that time I've seen one pattern again and again. People don't lose money because property in North Cyprus is bad. They lose money because they trust the wrong people, they skip the legal checks, and they try to save on a lawyer. So, and that decision ends up costing them far more than they spent before. So, let me give you a really very simple truth. You don't need a lawyer after the problem exists. You need a lawyer before the transaction. You see? That's why you can keep yourself in this property deal in Northern Cyprus. Because once something goes wrong, your options are very limited. And in these unrecognized jurisdictions, they are even more limited, really. So that's why, exactly why I work differently. So when I take on a client, I don't just check documents. So I build a legal protection structure around the transaction. So verify the title deed, I check the debts, mortgage, legal risks. Then I review and control the contracts and handle registration properly, manage the permission to purchase, and stay involved until completion of this property buying process. Nothing left in chance. And most importantly, every time I represent you, not the developer, not the agent, just you. You are very important for me, and your safety is very important for me. So now if you are really serious about buying property in Northern Cyprus, the worst things you can do is delay the legal side. So, because the moment you pay a deposit, sign a contract, or rely on someone else's advice, so you're already taking a legal risk. So, in what I suggest, so if you consider a purchase, whether you already have a property in mind or you are just exploring, so book a legal consultation. You can see all the details in my webinar. So just do not hesitate to write your questions. Contact by the phone you can see here, or write email, or check my social media and try to find the answer, or ask your questions and get an answer. So explain what do you want to buy, and you will see what kind of risks do you have, and what structure will be safest for you. So with us, with me, it's not a general advice, no guesswork. So just a clear legal position based on your situation. So I will check and I will give my advice. Every time, all deals are different. Yes, some of them are near similar, but again, every deal has its own nuances. And the difference between safe investment and the costly mistake is usually decided before you will sign anything. So if you want to proceed correctly, now is the right moment to do it. Not after you paid, not after you signed, before. So do not hesitate to contact me, take my contacts. So write your questions and I will try to help you. Thank you for joining me today and see you on next webinar. I hope that you had a great time with me. Write your questions. Write your question that you want to discuss on the next webinars, and see you soon.